Hans Westman here. We are going to continue with learning different aspects of Blender. This time, continuing with box modeling, creating a somewhat more complex object. It's going to be a phone receiver. So you can see we have a lot of different transitions that we're going to be working with the starting point of a plane. So let's get started with this project. First, what I'm going to do is get rid of the cube that is auto-generated when you open up the program by hitting X and then delete. Next step after that, I am going to create with add a mesh plane, shift middle mouse button, or I should say control middle mouse button to zoom up a tad. And we're going to increase the size of this so that it is basically the length and width of where I want the phone receiver to have its starting point. Next, we're going to go to the edit mode by hitting tab, and I'm hitting the number 3, so we are in the faces mode. Right click, subdivide, in the lower left hand menu that comes up, I want to change the number of cuts from 1 to 3, and then click in the gray area. Next, let's go to Z for the top view. You can see that this is another rectangular shape on the one side and this on the other side, so one would be the receiver and also the microphone for the shape. But I want to do some additional subdivisions here as well too, so I can work with this. I go to Edge, Loop, Cut, and Slide. Start with this by clicking once, clicking twice, and increasing the number of cuts to 3. I'm going to do it one more time. Edge, Loop, Cut, and Slide down here. Click once, click twice, and the same. 1, 2, and 3. Next, with the middle mouse button, we can go back into the perspective view, and with the select box active, I can region select all these polygons, hit the letter E, and we can extrude once, and then we can extrude twice by hitting E one more time. And then let's see what we have at the bottom. I click on the gray area down here. I can click once on this polygon. I have to hit the number 3 first. And then I can hold down Shift and Control to get a length here. Quickly selecting these so I don't have to do each one individually. Shift, because I don't want this length to be selected right there. But now I can go back to Shift Control like this. And then once again, we're going to hit E and do another extrude. So now we have basically what would be, I would say, the shape of a Minecraft phone, if you want to put it in those terms. Let's start to make some shapes with this. So I will start out, first of all, by hitting the number 1 key. Gives me access to vertices. And I want to start out by creating a round circle right here. So I click once, Shift, and then I can go to the top view, Z, hit the Z key and hit wireframe, and from here, scale, and in the X and Y, I can bring this down so I have a circular shape. Then I can hit the middle mouse button again, go back into the perspective view, so I come underneath here once again. And from there, I have access to see these vertices. If I want to make it easier for myself, I can hit Z and go back to solid once again, and W, so I get rid of the scale tool. Click once, Shift, and select these other vertices, so I have the ones that I want to work with. Back to Z again, and let's go back to the scale tool, Z key and wireframe, so it's easy for me to see again. Now I have my circular area right now. Next thing I want to do is get a rounded shape up here and down here as best as I can. So I can start out by region selecting these vertices, W, so that I have these free to look at, W there. And I'm going to start out by, first of all, going to the scale tool, and in the x-axis I'm going to pull these in slightly, and then the move tool, and then bring this down, just like this. So I have that somewhat rounded. I could even go to this one here. I guess what we could do also is the same thing. If I go to this side, might as well take care of this at the same time. W, Shift, bring these guys again in with scale. The x-axis, bring them in slightly like this, and then the move tool. So I have that rounded. Middle mouse button, so I come back into the perspective view, once again underneath. Z key, and then select solid. Now I'm going to click this one, this vertice, and this vertice right here. And this one as well, being as that I am now able to work symmetrically in this way. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the scale tool. And in the y-axis, I'm going to pull these guys down a little bit like this. And then I can pull them in also in the x-axis like this. So it's a little bit rounded. And let's do this one more time from the top view. Z, and then the Z key, wireframe, and I can bring this in just slightly, a little bit more, and then maybe even bring this up a tad, like this. Oops, Control Z, I've got these all selected, so I got to work exclusively with the scale tool, right about like that, and then maybe out a tad as well too. There we go. So now it's more circular, kind of. All right. Next, what I can do is I can bring this out a little bit as well, and then also Shift here, and then I have this roundness coming out just like that. Okay, so now we are going to hold down the left mouse button, middle mouse button again, and drag, so we come into perspective view. Click in the gray area, and I want this to be solid, so I'm going to go back to Z, and then hit solid. We can start to do some shaping here now, and I can start out first of all by pulling these polygons up. So I'm going to hit the number 3, click once, W, so I'm in the right spot, and then I'm going to hold down this one right here, which would be Shift and Control. And now with the move tools, I can bring this up, and you can see that I'm starting to get a rounded shape right about like that. Next thing I can do is I can do the same thing with the uh, these edges right here. I'm going to start out with the number 2 and then click once, shift and control, and then I bring this up, and then you can see it becomes a little bit more rounded there. Hit the number 1. I'm going to click on this vertice, W, so I can see this a little bit better. Shift there, there, and there. Back to the move. And now you can see that I start to get a rounded shape by re-situating the position of the vertices and inadvertently the polygons. So here I can do the same thing, bring this up just a little bit. Just like this. And here's going to be the next trick that we're going to do, is I'm going to region select all of these vertices at the top by hitting Z first, wireframe, so it's easier for me to select and just lining them up in the perspective view as opposed to going to the top view. And now what I can do is go to the scale tool, and I can start out by moving these in one direction like this, and then I can move them here in the X like that as well. So I have a little bit of a rounded shape, just like that. Next thing I can do is I can go to the section which is here underneath, and I am going to first of all start out by selecting these polygons. So Z, solid, the number 3, and click once, W, so I have the selection, shift and control all the way around like this, even here, and then the same thing here too, shift first, shift and control, just like this. And we're going to scale these by first going to the scale tool and make sure that the transform pivot point is actually individual origins. So now it's this grouping and this grouping here, which is going to be work with at the individually. X and Y, a little bit like this, I think would work. That's fine, just like that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go to W, and I'm going to go to E, extrude this down a tad, and then I can go again to the scale tool, X and Y, like this. I'm going to do this one more time with E, bring it down, and then X and Y, out again, E, bring this down one more time like this, and then E once again, bring it down, X and Y, scale it down like this, E, just ever so slightly like this here. And then I can bring this down more like this, and then I can move this up just a tad because I pull this down a little. There's perfect. E, this time I'm going to go up, scale, X and Y, like this, and let's see what we have at this point now. Click like this. I can now take these guys, shift, this one too, and then move it down slightly like that. And I think that looks pretty good. Now you can see that these guys here are kind of square, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take Z key, wireframe, and we're going to go to, at this point, number 1 for vertices. And let's see what we can do here is if we take, let's see if we're going to position this in a way that we can see this pretty well. I can take that region, select right there. I think that that's okay. And then I can take this one as well. Shift. And then I can do the same thing over here. Control Shift there. And then I can do the same thing there. Let's see what we got right there. And I'm going to do the same thing over here now. Shift. Same position. Shift. Over here as well. And then there. Now let's go to the top view, Z, and let's go ahead and scale these guys out a little bit and see if we can get these a little bit more rounded. What's going on here? Control Z. Okay, we have to make sure that we are in the median point. Bring these out just a tad. It's circular there, right? And then we can do the same thing here as well. That we can take these, W, got that one right there. We'll take this one, Shift, and then we're going to take these guys right here. This is going to be a little bit more interesting as far as how we grab these. Got to find the right position. Let's say if we do like this, Shift. Now we might have, we're good. Okay. But then we can maybe take this one and this one out as well too. Actually, Control Z and Control Z. We'll stop with that. Back to the Z top here. Tilde sign, go to top, and let's one more time go to the scale tool, and let's pull these guys out a little bit like this. Okay, so that's a little bit more rounded, perfect. And let's do the same thing on this side over here. So it would be there, W, this one right here, and then let's take this one as well. These right here, Shift. Okay, there we go. And then we can go to the top view, Tilde, top, and then scale once again. There we are. Bring these out just slightly, just about like that. Okay. So now I think I have a nice rounded shape there, pretty much. And I want to increase all these guys a little bit larger. So I'm going to go ahead and hit I can do both of these as well too, I guess. But that means that we need to go to the, no, I think we'll do each one of these separately. That'll be easier to do. So we'll bring these out about like that. And then we can take these over here, shift and middle mouse button to pull it over, just middle mouse button, bring it up just about like that. And obviously I can maybe select some of these guys out here too. And to see how this works out, if I bring this over, shift, and then this one right here too, which would be these, shift. Yeah, I think we can do that. We can take these two also. That's what I'm thinking here. So let's just go ahead and add these, shift all the way down. We can do the same thing over here. Shift. And let's just make sure that we have the right ones. Okay, I think that's all good. Now let's go to the top view. Z. Z, once again. There we are. And we're going to try this one more time. So let's go to bring it out just a bit like this, and then a bit like that. Okay, let's see what we got now. Z, solid. Okay, starting to look pretty good there. Next thing we can do here is go to this line right here. It would be, before we do that, let's go ahead and bring down these polygons first. So number 3, click once, W, shift, 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 and let's move these down like this. So we get this nice, starting to get a circular shape right here is what we want. So we're going to pull this down even more. And then we're going to take number 2, this one and this one. I'm going to bring this down as well. So now we have a circular shape. Now what I'm going to want to do here is I'm going to want to bring these receivers down a little bit further. So I go back to 1, Z, and then to wireframe, so I can select all these guys at once. Same thing here with shift, straight through. Let's make sure I have everything. Oops, Control Z. That's why it's important to use the W sometimes here. Let's see that we got everything there. That's right. Now we can go to the move. We can bring it down just about like this. Perfect. Okay. Z, solid. Okay. So now we can work with these shapes once again. 1 for the vertices. Click on this one. Click on that one. Now we're going to click on this one as well. This one as well. Bring it around to this side. This one. This one. Let's pull these guys out with a scale. Make sure once again that we're on median. That's fine. There we go. Just about like this. And then I'm going to take the center one, only this one and this one, and bring this in just about like that. Okay. So now we're almost there. Next, what I want to do is I'm going to add some more geometry. So let's do some edge loops. 1. Hold on a second. Let's try this one more time with edge loops. Click once. Edge. edge loop and slide once like this, and maybe once again. Hit 2 there. We'll do the same thing on this side. Edge loop and slide, 1, click again. So, okay. So now we're starting to see something here. What I want to do is I'm going to Z, wireframe, and I am going to start out by going to the, I think it's the x-axis that I want, completely solid like this. And I'm going to go to these guys, and now to the top view, Z, and let's scale these in towards the center so it's just about like that. Once again, to Z and then the solid. Now you can see it's starting to be basically the same shape as we had before, but we're going to add something to this. I'm not going to go much further than what we're doing. But Z, wireframe, these polygons here, and we're going to add the soft selection right here, which means that when we move these guys up, you can see that there's a circle, and that is determining how much this is going to be affected. You can either scroll, as you can see here, like this, so we have a little bit of a curvature there. Z, solid. And now I'm going to do one last thing here before we finish this up. I'm going to go ahead and hit once again Z and then the wireframe. This as well. I'm going to expand on this just a tad. This time we want to make sure that we are in median point once again. X and Y like that. You can see also that this is affected by the soft selection. I don't want that to happen, so Control Z. And let's deactivate that and do this one more time. And I'm going to do the same thing here, like this. And with these selected, I'm actually going to go to rotate. And on the x-axis, I'm going to rotate this up one tad there. Let's do the same thing here and rotate like this. And I think I'm pretty much done for this. So Z, solid, and there you have these different shapes that you have created. And if you take a look at the wireframes here, you have these different circles and the way that they're lined up, which helps to actually define the shape very clearly. Okay, that's it for this round.